Okay, we're going to can some beans. A couple people have asked me how to can beans, and I'm going to tell you a little secret. Meat and beans are the same, with the exception of you have to worry about raw packing or whatever you're going to do with the meat. But yes, meat and beans, same time, same pressure, whatever your local pressure should be. And you also are going to use the same pressure you use that's acceptable for your altitude. And you're going to use the same times. Pints would be 75 minutes. Quarts, 90. Now meats, you can pre-cook them. I never do. You can pre-cook them and then just pack them in there as much as you want. Most people don't put water in with theirs. I like a little broth, so I always cover my bases with putting a little bit of water in. Now, that being said, we're not doing meat today. We're just going to do beans. So, I digress. This is this is a pint jar, my funnel, a half a cup of beans. If you want to do quarts, you can do quarts. It's a whole cup of beans. I always season my beans. These white beans over here are Great Northern beans. I'm going to drop a couple slices of garlic. I often use dehydrated. I just haven't dehydrated my garlic yet. Oh, it's going to be really garlicky. Alright, these are going to be chili beans, and I'm going to add a little garlic to them as well. I pretty much put onions and garlic in everything I make. But also, you know that when you cook things, when you take them out of the jars, they're neutrally seasoned then, and you can add more seasoning the way you need it. I'm also going to add onions to all these jars. I'm just using a regular large tablespoon. Whoops. My onions. And they're really good for you, so it's not going to hurt anything to have a couple extra. Oops. Start over here before I forget somebody, huh? I had one 2-pound bag of beans that filled all these pint jars, 10 pint jars, and I had 1 pound of kidney beans that only filled 5 jars, so I opened another jar. Okay, now we're going to add a little can salt. You don't want to use iodized salt because it'll cloud up your jars. it everywhere. Beans are something to me that never seems like it tastes very salty. It's sort of like potatoes. Potatoes seem to absorb the salt. You still don't want to over salt. Saltier. And yes, I'm not very exact. Alright, 4 of those. These are done. For those chili beans, however, we are going to add some spices. Add a little cumin. Try to remember this is only a half pint, so you don't want to over season it. Plus you can always add more seasoning after you start cooking it. You really don't even have to season it at all. This is just my personal preference. I'm putting about 1/3 of a teaspoon. Well, not a measuring teaspoon either. A regular table teaspoon. That was just begging for some cumin, wasn't it? Didn't come off there very well. Alright, so that being done, I'll put this away. I'm going to go through and put some chili powder in each one. My goal is not to make these spicy, it's just to have them have some flavor. So that you can open this up and put a pound of hamburger or chicken or whatever you use in your chili and just have chili in no time at all. And maybe you're one of those people that have chili that you've already canned and you want to stretch it because Cousin Bob came over and you need to make one more serving out of that quart you have. It's a way to stretch things. These are also good on hot dogs, hamburgers, or anything else that you want to add a little spice to. Put that away. So, now we're down to wiping off our rims, making a mess, and filling our jars. We get really good spring water here, and I don't do the vinegar thing anymore that I used to do. In my canner, I used to, because I was on city water, and you may need to put a couple tablespoons of vinegar in your canner so that your glass jars don't get hazy from the hard water. This is really good spring water, and it doesn't cause that issue. We're going to fill them, leaving about 1 inch of headspace. I don't know if I need it. You want enough water in there, those beans are going to suck it right up. And you want to make sure that when you can them, your heat is not too high because then you have siphoning. The whole last batch of beans I just about ruined because all the water siphoned out. And the poor beans didn't have enough water to cook all the way. These are dry beans. I don't do anything to them. I don't do anything except sift out anything that might be not belonging in there. They don't soak or anything. They're just dry. I'm going to show you how I arrange these in my canner, and then my video will be done. The actual canning of them will be a separate video because my canner's outdoors. It's 84 degrees outside and I don't want to can inside. You do not have to sanitize your lids and rings. And with the new lids and rings, you are actually not supposed to boil them. You just wash them under warm water with soap if you like. I don't want soap to be in my seal. I have a Miro 23-quart pressure canner, and that's another thing I might have mentioned, but you have to pressure can these beans. You cannot do this in a water bath. I don't think they'd ever get done, and I'm sure they're not safe. They're too low acid. If you disagree with the way I'm doing things, that is your prerogative. I don't expect everybody to appreciate my method, but I've had people ask me what my method is. This is it. These are going to be in the canner for 75 minutes. After your canner comes to pressure and starts blowing steam out the top, you're going to let it vent for 10 minutes. Then you're going to put the appropriate weight on. In my case, it's a 10-pound weight. I don't have a gauge canner, and I am very happy without one. I like not having to babysit the gauge. I like being able to put a weight on and knowing that it's right. You'll notice I have a flat top stove, a glass top stove. I don't use it for canning because I'm pretty sure that it would break my stove. And the one time I did try to use it, it worked okay, but it was just a bear trying to keep the pressure up because it fluctuates a lot. Okay. I'm going to put the bottom rack in. There's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Go on the bottom, and I forgot I had 2 tall jars that have to go in the top. We'll swap those. 3 tall jars that have to go in the top. Then on top of my 9 jars there in the bottom, I put my second rack, and I put these jars in the top. If you have mismatched jars, you're going to want to go ahead and put the ones that are mismatched on the top. What you come off with looks like this. I don't have any water in it right now because it's not that time yet. And I will put the lid and the water in after I get it outdoors. We're going to add the water. If you have city water or hard water, add a little white vinegar. It'll do wonders. Pints are 75 minutes, quarts are 90 minutes. Do not use iodized salt inside your jars. It'll make for cloudy jars. I add seasoning. You don't have to. The next video will be putting them on the canner, and maybe after that I'll even have one taking them off. Okay. And we'll see you next time.